Have you ever played a game that you had such a good experience on the first run that you wished you could forget everything you knew about the game and play it again like it was brand new to you? Well, I have multiple times. So I decided to make a list of the top 5 games that I wish I could completely forget about and play once again for the first time, including some honorable mentions which will be shown on the screen at some point during the game. So let's go ahead and start with number 5. Alright, starting off the list at number 5, we have a game that I'm sure people are not surprised to see. It is one of the most beloved games of all time. We have Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne for me was definitely a very interesting first experience. To start with, it was my first FromSoft Dark Souls, or Souls-esque experience. So, because of that, there's definitely some, growing pains from playing it for the first time, and I actually did end up dropping the game to begin with. So what had happened was I started playing the game, I got to the first 2 bosses, not mandatory bosses. I think it was the Bloodstarved Beast. Is it Bloodstarved, or is Bloodstarved the one in the church in the basement? The first optional boss in Yharnam, you guys know who I'm talking about, on the bridge. When you go up there, I want to say it's Bloodstarved Beast, but I feel like that might be the one that's down in like the church basement, or like the one that you go underground for. I can't remember. I don't play Bloodborne that often, so I can't remember the names of the bosses off the top of my head. And then Gascoigne. I fought those 2 bosses. I definitely died a lot because, like I said, this was my first time playing a Souls game. And after those 2 bosses, I think my main issue was I just wasn't getting it. Like, I know people were talking about how great these games were, and while like I did have fun, I don't think I was having enough fun to offset what felt like the difficulty. Like, the difficulty just felt a little bit too much for not the amount of fun I was having. If I remember right, that's how I was kind of feeling about it. Plus, I wasn't all that engaged because of how, you guys know how the story is in FromSoft games, where you get most of it from like items and stuff, and it's not like just shown to you, or just like cutscenes and stuff like that. So a lot of that was kind of throwing me off, and so I ended up I think I got just kind of lost, just wandering around. I'm pretty sure I got lost after Gascoigne, which is kind of sad to say because I don't think there's really that much for you to get lost on. If I remember correctly, after Gascoigne, I think you can still pretty much kind of straight shoot it to the next boss. But regardless, I just remember dropping the game there and not playing it for a while. I think it was almost a year later where I came back to the game. And what made me come back to the game was actually seeing someone else play Bloodborne. I don't know, this might ring a bell to some people, but there's this YouTuber named SSOHPKC, or as most people would call him, Seamus. He was part of the Creatures, a really old YouTube group. They're one of the reasons why I actually why I started a YouTube channel and streaming and all that stuff, because I always liked their videos, I always liked their streams. I missed the Creatures a lot. Seamus was one of my favorite members, as well as Nova and stuff. And I remember watching Seamus's Bloodborne playthrough and seeing him actually play through the game and kind of seeing how the game was played from someone who has played a Souls game before, because Seamus has played like Dark Souls and all that other stuff before he did Bloodborne. It made me realize, like, oh, okay, this is the way you're supposed to be doing this stuff. This is what this means and all that stuff. And it gave me a new look at the game. So I was like, you know what, let's go back and try again. So I booted the game back up, restarted my save file, and that was the run. That was the run that made me fall in love with that game. I got through the first 2 bosses. I finally got past whatever blocked me from last time of wanting to continue. And dude, it was just so much fun. To this day, I still remember the feeling of just going through the game, getting through the bosses. I think the boss that stood out to me the most was probably Rom. And the reason why is because I am not great with spiders. Like, spiders just aren't my thing. I can deal with them like in person, but like there's a certain size that once a spider gets past, scares the crap out of me. Like a tarantula, I'd probably faint on the spot. So when seeing Rom, I know he doesn't exactly look like a spider per se, but Rom's design is creepy, man. I can't look at Rom without getting like this really like chilly feeling all over me. Like I feel like I have spiders crawling on me when I see Rom. So fighting Rom was not fun. And I still remember the fear I felt when I'm running towards Rom and he has all of those spiders surrounding him, and then the spiders start dive bombing you and stuff. It was not fun. And then having to get up close to Rom and looking at him while trying to kill him, like I don't have that phobia. What is it called? That phobia of like holes? Is it triphobia? I think that's what it's called. I don't have that phobia, but with Rom, looking at his face, it made me feel like I had it. Like, dude, I cannot look at Rom. Anytime I've replayed Bloodborne, the Rom fight is the one I look forward to the least. I cannot stand him, and oh my god, dude, the first time fighting him was not fun. It definitely took me maybe like 6-7 tries to kill him. Like that was rough. Rom was definitely the most memorable boss to me for my first run through the game in terms of what he made me feel. But no, overall, Bloodborne is an amazing game. If you haven't played it, I highly do recommend trying it out. And don't do what I did and try to go through the game without looking at guides and stuff. If you feel like you need a guide just to somewhat help you a little bit, please look it up. If you don't, the game experience can definitely drop off a little bit. That's how most Soul games are. But if you like kind of being in the unknown and having to figure stuff out yourself the hard way, that'll be the perfect game for you. But no, it really is an amazing game. I really wish I could forget it all and re-experience it for the first time. Except for the ROM fight. I'm perfectly fine never having to deal with the ROM fight for the first time again. But long story short, Sony, if for some reason Sony is watching this video, give us Bloodborne 2. Get started on making Bloodborne 2. What are you waiting for? Honestly, what are you waiting for? But regardless, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. And now, for number 4 on the list, we have our last modern day game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, the reason why I went with Rebirth over Remake is because not only did Rebirth have the story, but just the actual gameplay and what they managed to accomplish in this game with the open world blows my mind. It honestly blows my mind. Rebirth, like, don't get me wrong, Remake is amazing, and Remake might have the much better, like, honestly, it might have the better story segment in terms of how it all came together and not being as confusing, because there is a bunch of confusing stuff in the new story in general, but I feel like it was definitely a little bit more confusing in Rebirth at times until you really got a chance to like sit down and like realize what was going on. But Rebirth as a game was just out of this world. What they accomplished with the exploration, the combat is amazing. I already love the FF7 Remake combat system, but they took it to another level in Rebirth, and I cannot wait to see what they do with it in the third game. But there is one specific scene in Rebirth that I consider the best scene out of all the games, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't want to spoil it, but for the people who have played Rebirth, you know, that scene where someone gets pushed while someone else is approaching near the end of the game. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil anymore, but that scene with the music rising as the scene continues to climb and everything leading up to it, absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. The first time I played through that entire sequence, I had tears in my eyes. I'm not gonna lie. I had tears in my eyes. To this day, I still go back and watch that scene and I feel the chills all over again. That scene is amazing. I would not be surprised if after the trilogy ends of the remake, if that scene is still number one out of the entire story. I would not be surprised. They did that scene so perfectly, and God, I just want to watch it right now. I want to watch it right now, but I'm not going to go too much into spoilers. I know it's been a year now since the game is released, but some people still haven't played it. So I want to make sure that whoever does play it gets to experience that for themselves the first time. I don't want to spoil it for them. But regardless, no, the game is literally... it's probably the closest thing we've had, at least for me, to a perfect game in the last couple of years. It is absolutely phenomenal. I think I completed 100% of the exploration up until like the last area, because at that point I was just like, I gotta see the end of the story. I was too hooked in to continue exploring. But the fact that the game actually got me to do all the exploration beforehand, before even doing the story, just shows how good it was, how good the gameplay was, how they managed to, grab you and have you finish all of its content. It really is amazing. I had so much fun with Rebirth. I really did. And I'm not sure, I have not gone back and replayed the story because I'm almost 100% certain I'm not going to be able to recreate that magical feeling I had in me as I was going through it the first time, because there are so many factors going into that, finding time, because I knew I was going to get dug into that game, so I made sure I had time. My availability was open. I was filling it up with Rebirth. I was trying to get it done quickly, but at the same time I was enjoying it, so I was also slowing down, doing all the exploration and stuff. I wasn't just blowing through the story. I was doing the side missions. I was doing everything. I was just completely enthralled by the content of that game. And I think one of the reasons why that first playthrough is also so magical is because since I got to play it on release, I was also experiencing it with everyone else, being able to go on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and just see everyone else's reactions to the story for the first time, seeing people's theories and stuff. That also contributes a lot to that first run, being able to experience it with everyone in the world, or at least everyone in the States. I don't remember, did that game release on the same time globally? I think it did. I don't think it was different release days. I think it was the same day globally, but regardless, it was an amazing experience. I can't wait to get a repeat of that for the third game. But regardless, FF7 Rebirth is definitely, in my opinion, the closest thing we've had in the modern age to a perfect video game. Will we ever get a perfect video game? No. That's just not possible. At least in my opinion, it's not possible. But Rebirth is definitely the closest experience we've had to that, in my opinion. Definitely the closest. But now, we move on to the third game in their list. For the third game on the list, we have Infamous 2. Infamous 2 is what I believe to be the best game in the series. I know some people like Infamous 1's story more than 2, but I think 2's story is actually kind of underrated. I'm a big fan of it. The gameplay of 2 is probably the best gameplay in the series. Second Son, while it does have good gameplay, I think Second Son kind of went in a different direction that I'm not a big fan of with how they handled the powers and stuff. I think the way 2 handled the extra powers was much better. Plus, if you know me, I've talked about this on stream before. My favorite powers in any video game are always going to be lightning powers, wind power, or ice powers. Infamous 2 gets 2 of those, with the lightning and the ice that you get from Quo. And I don't even know what you call Nyx's powers, the smoke, fire, oil stuff she gives you. I don't know what it is. It was also pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty dope. Overall, I think Infamous 2 is such a complete package, and I've replayed that game so many times. I think I've probably beaten it 12, 14, 12, 15 times, somewhere around that ballpark. Both, not like all, just all together, not like 15 times the evil side, 13 times the good side, just all together. I've probably beaten that game about 12, 15 times. And it's so fun. It's such a replayable game too. I don't think it loses as much of its charm after the first playthrough as some of the other games on this list kind of do, like Rebirth, or maybe the number one game on the list, which we'll get to later. But that first time playthrough is still extremely magical, getting to see the new powers and stuff and seeing how they work. And I really hope someday in the future, if we can't get a new Infamous series because of the Ghost series now being worked on over at Sucker Punch, that's fine. But please, whether it's Blue Point Studios or someone else, give them a chance to remaster Infamous and Infamous 2 and put them on the PS5. That way we can actually play them again, because right now they're both just kind of stuck on the PlayStation 3. So it'd be really nice to be able to play them again and not have to worry about playing them through the streaming service they provide, because let's be real, playing them through the streaming service is not the greatest experience. I still have my OG PlayStation 3, and every once in a while I'll still bring it out and play some Infamous 2 and Infamous 1 on it. They're such fun games. If you never got a chance to play the Infamous games, especially the first two, I highly encourage it, especially the second one. Infamous 2 is so fun. The gameplay loop is so... I don't even know what the word I want to use here is. It's just so fun to play through it. It really is. I enjoyed Second Son, but I'm not going to lie, it was a step down from Infamous 2 in my opinion. Infamous 2 is the best the series has to offer, and I will stand on that. And I really wish I could replay that game for the first time, and then the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, and so on. But regardless, let's go ahead and move on to game number 2 on the list. Alright, and now we have number 2 on the list, and this was difficult for me between number 1 and number 2. This was very difficult. Now, the reason why this game got number 2 is something we'll discuss when we get to number 1. But for number 2, we have the namesake of the channel, Megaman Starforce 3 Black Ace. Now, I'm a huge Mega Man fan, but I'm a huge Starforce fan. Starforce is my favorite series out of the Mega Man franchise, next to the Zero series. I just think the Starforce series is extremely underrated. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I mean, come on. It has the best story out of the entire Mega Man franchise. It actually has an ending to its story, unlike most of the Mega Man franchise, or sub-franchises, however you want to categorize them. The only other series that I think can even hold a candle to the Starforce story is Zero, because Zero also got an ending. Well, you look at that, my two favorite series in the Mega Man franchise both have endings. Kind of crazy. But regardless, no, Starforce really is amazing. I love all the characters in it. I love the concept of this universe's Mega Man, or this franchise's Mega Man being a combination of human and alien. I think that's super cool. It's a very Power Ranger-esque type thing, and you know what? I'm all for it. I love it. The designs are amazing. The combat is fun. I know a lot of people don't like the combat because they think Battle Network is better. And while the combat in the first two games, I can definitely see why you would like Battle Network better. And Starforce 3, they really found the perfect selling point to the combat, in my opinion, of making it extremely fast-paced and having what I believe is the best like transformation system through Starforce and Battle Network, which is the noise system. The noise system is super fun to play around with. I love the way they handled it. Having it raise by overkilling your enemies is, I think, a super cool concept. Having your transformations be locked at 50% and then unlocking your ultimate form at 200% and being able to upgrade your ultimate form by waiting to use it until you activate higher levels of noise to the point where you get to like noise level 10 at 999% noise. I think that's super dope. It's such a cool system. Getting extra rewards for having a higher noise level at the end of fights is awesome. The noise system, in my opinion, is just the best battle system they've had. It's super fun. I love the way they handle the cards in this game by having them not be set into stone with like the 3x3 grid, instead of having them kind of being placed around, and then the cards that are covered, you can use them for something else by having them become a selected support card or just being able to single use them. I think they added in a lot of extra like strategy into 3 that wasn't present in 2 and 1, and then the amount of transformations you have by being able to combine noise forms and stuff with multi-noise is just, there's so much in this game. The boss fights are amazing. The end game or the post game was great. Starforce 3 is just one of the near perfect Mega Man games in the franchise, in my opinion. It really is fun. There is no Mega Man game I would recommend more than Starforce 3 Black Ace. It is so fun. The reason why I recommend Black Ace over Red Joker is just because I think Black Ace kind of fits the story a little bit better, and it's just a cooler form. I'm gonna be real. I mean, you get to slice a black hole that you form to destroy your enemies. What? Come on now, that's dope. What does Red Joker have? A big laser? Now, let me slice the black hole. That's way cooler. But regardless, Starforce 3 is super amazing. I've replayed the game a lot of times. The replayability is great. I lost my train of thought in the middle of that sentence because I was just thinking about it. But, alright, come on, brain. You can work. Being able to replay the game definitely does take away a little bit from how special the first time experience is, but the first time experience is still great in this game. Getting able to witness how the noise system works and getting to feel or get your like grasp around it so you can master it. The post game is great. Getting to experience that for the first time, I think, is really special. There's just so much stuff in this game that it's hard to just kind of try to wrap it up all right here in like a short little segment. I could go on for hours talking about this game, but really, you just need to go out and play it. Go out and play it, but make sure you play at least Mega Man Starforce 1. 2, you can technically skip. 2 is the weakest in the series, and the story in 2 doesn't really affect 3 all that much, but you just play through the whole series. 2, you can just kind of breeze through, but make sure you really play them because 1 and 3 are amazing, and 3 is just a perfect conclusion to the franchise. I wish there was more Starforce games, but unfortunately, they didn't sell well. That was during Mega Man's kind of the start of Mega Man's down period. So, unfortunately, Capcom never gave us more, but at least they gave us 3. 3 is more than enough for a good conclusion. It's, dare I say, one of the perfect conclusions that are out there. But regardless, let's move on to number 1 on the list. And to top off our list, we have, would you believe it, another Sucker Punch game. And this one is the start of their new franchise after Infamous, Ghost of Tsushima. Now, earlier I had mentioned that between Ghost of Tsushima and Mega Man Starforce 3 Black Ace, I was having a lot of trouble to decide between which one would take the number 1 spot. And there was one reason why I decided to put Ghost of Tsushima up here over Mega Man Starforce 3 Black Ace, and that is because Starforce 3 Black Ace You can replay it and still get somewhat of a similar experience to your first time. Ghost of Tsushima, you will never recapture that first run feeling. That is a statement that I fully 100% believe in. I think it is impossible to recapture the feeling that I got from playing this game for the first time. It was right after my college finals for my first semester, so it was Christmas break. I had bought the game about a month ago, but I haven't had time to really like play it. I don't even think I had it installed yet. So during Christmas break, I was like, let's go ahead and give this game a shot. This was during COVID as well, so like there wasn't much to do out there anyways, because isolation and all that stuff. And let me just tell you, I didn't care. Ghost of Tsushima completely took all my attention. I have never played such a magical first game experience than I ever did with Ghost of Tsushima. Nothing else on this list ever even comes close to that first run in Tsushima. Just experiencing the world that Sucker Punch created was insane. Actually, like seeing the environment and stuff and just going around, it gave you such a feeling that I can't even begin to describe. It's something you have to experience for yourself. And I'm so happy I got to experience that without like getting it spoiled for me or watching someone else's playthrough. It's just something I got to do on my own. Being able to travel that world that they create, finding the haiku spots or the what else? The fox shrines, treasure, new camps, new side quests, saving people that were getting attacked by the Mongols. Like there's just so much there, and just seeing the way the game looks, it's just majestic. Just climbing up to the top of this mountain and then just looking over the horizon and seeing the entire island, it just fills you with this like sense of amazement. Like I truly don't know how to describe the feeling. But that's the thing about this game is, and you could even say this is a big demerit to it, I can't replay Ghost of Tsushima. I have tried multiple times to replay that game, and I just cannot. The most I get is about halfway through, and then I end up deciding to drop it from there and do something else or play something else. Like you cannot recapture that first run, because now you kind of know what's happening. You know what to expect. You've seen the environment before. You've seen the techniques, the new abilities you can get. You know how the stealth works. You have all this knowledge now of the game, and it takes away from it in such a way that's, I don't know how to describe it. It's just that first run. Maybe it was because of what everything was going on in life, with college finals, COVID, and all that stuff. Maybe that also contributed a lot to that first run feeling so free, like freeing to me and so magical, because it gave me a chance to escape from what at the time was a very harsh reality of all the stuff that was happening in the world. But I just can't. I still love the game. Like when I replay it, it's not that I'm not having fun. It's just I know there's that feeling missing that I had on that first run, and I feel like because I can never experience that first run again, I think that makes it the perfect game to put at number 1 on this list. Because I'm gonna be real, I'm extremely excited for Ghost of Yotai. I'm extremely excited for it. I can't wait for it. I'm literally just waiting for the release date to be announced, so that way I know how many days are left. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed into 2026 or something. But as much as I'm hyped for that game, there is a part of me that thinks I'm not going to be able to get that first experience that I did with Tsushima either, because the systems from Tsushima will be moving over to Yotai, so you already have some part of knowledge going into it. And knowing on how they did Tsushima, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's probably going to feel very similar in Yotai, because it is the sequel, So there is a part of me that thinks, yeah, I'm never going to be able to experience that first run again. Even with a whole new game in the series, it's just not going to happen. And it is kind of sad to think of that, but Ghost of Tsushima holds a very special place in my heart just for that first run. It definitely helped me a lot to reappreciate video games, because during that time I was also kind of falling off of gaming in general, because I kind of felt like everything was there's just points in gaming where it feels like everything is kind of the same. And I feel like during that time I was definitely starting to feel like all games are kind of the same. What's the point of even playing them and stuff? And then Tsushima came out, and I fell in love with video games all over again. It made me feel like a child once more. Opening the Super Nintendo to play Mega Man X, I had that same feeling with Ghost of Tsushima, of just being able to partake in this different world and different reality, and being able to fully immerse myself into it and enjoy it for what it was. And yeah, it's even talking about it right now, I get that feeling. I'm like, damn, I ain't never gonna get that again, will I? And that's why I gave Ghost of Tsushima the number one spot over Starforce 3, because Starforce 3, I've been able to replay it and still have, similar feelings to how I felt when I first played the game back when it, in like 2012 when I first played it. Ghost of Tsushima, every time I replay it, there's always that feeling, like that thought in my head where I'm like, I'm missing something that I didn't get the first time that I got when I first played the game, So that's why, if there's any game that I wish I could forget completely about to re-experience again, I think Ghost of Tsushima is the best example that I can give, or the number one game I would want to forget about. That way I could play it again for the first time once more. Let me know down below in the comments below what you guys think. What games are out there that you wish you could forget about and experience again. Hopefully some of you also have the same feeling with playing Ghost of Tsushima in terms of how great it was, or any of the other games on the list, including the honorable mentions that have been popping up throughout the video. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you something to think about in terms of your gaming experience. And with that, I will see you all next time. Peace out.